So much of life's greatest regrets don't come from the moments we shout about, but from the quiet, almost invisible choices we make when no one is watching. These silent decisions, putting off tough conversations, holding on to grudges, dimming our own creativity out of fear, or settling for comfort instead of growth, are the subtle architects of a future filled with what-ifs. In this journey, Stoicism becomes our unwavering guide, reminding us that life's true mastery lies not in controlling external chaos, but in mastering the inner landscape of acceptance, resilience, and intention. The real tragedy is how often we trap ourselves in the past or the future, failing to live fully in the present moment where life actually unfolds. Yet, by embracing emotional fortitude, honest self-awareness, and the profound practice of memento mori, the reminder that our time is limited, we find the courage to live authentically, love deeply, and choose actions that reflect our highest values. This video will unravel those 11 quiet choices, seemingly small at the time, that ultimately shape the weight of regret we carry. Each one is a call to awaken, to invest in meaningful relationships, to let go of what confines us, and to reclaim the power of living with purpose, gratitude, and unwavering self-acceptance. By the end, you won't just see regret as a distant shadow, but as a powerful teacher urging you to live with boldness and clarity, because the life you want is crafted in the silent moments you choose right now. 11 silent choices that shape your greatest regret. 1. Holding on to resentment instead of letting go. 2. Avoiding essential but difficult conversations. 3. Suppressing creativity out of fear of judgment. 4. Choosing comfort over growth. 5. Neglecting to invest in deep relationships. 6. Living stuck in the past or anxious about the future. 7. Failing to practice self-acceptance. 8. Overlooking the power of daily gratitude. 9. Resisting the natural flow of change. 10. Ignoring the discipline of emotional resilience. 11. Forgetting the urgency of memento mori, life's precious and fleeting nature. If this is making sense to you so far, like the video and share it with someone who needs to hear this. It's a quiet truth, but a powerful one. And sometimes, a quiet truth is precisely what shifts our entire perspective. We've talked about the quiet architects of regret, those seemingly small decisions that accumulate into a landscape of what-ifs. We've explored the subtle chains of resentment, the unsaid words that weigh us down, the stifled sparks of creativity, the seductive siren song of comfort over growth, and the slow erosion of neglected relationships. But the journey isn't over. There are deeper currents, more profound silent choices that shape the very fabric of our lives, dictating whether we stand firm or crumble under the weight of what could have been. 6. Living stuck in the past or anxious about the future. Imagine for a moment an artist whose canvas remains perpetually blank. Not because they lack inspiration or skill, but because their gaze is fixed either on the faded sketches of old failures or on the imagined masterpieces of tomorrow. This is the silent tragedy of living stuck in the past or anxiously fixated on the future. It's the constant psychological time travel that prevents us from truly inhabiting the present moment, the only place where life actually unfolds. In our hyper-connected, fast-paced world, this is a pervasive, quiet choice. We scroll through old photos, replaying arguments, savoring past glories, or lamenting bygone opportunities. We spend hours fantasizing about future successes, meticulously planning for hypothetical crises, or worrying about outcomes entirely beyond our control. Social media, with its curated highlight reels and endless stream of past events and future promises, only amplifies this tendency. We compare our current messy reality to someone else's polished past or idealized future, leaving us feeling perpetually inadequate or perpetually behind. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, repeatedly urged himself and his readers to remember that the present is the only time there is. He saw clearly that regret over the past is futile, for what's done is done. We can learn from it, certainly, but to dwell in it is to surrender our present peace. Similarly, anxiety about the future is equally unproductive. The future, by its very definition, does not yet exist. It is a canvas of possibilities, yes, but also a realm of uncertainty. To waste our present energy on worrying about what might happen is to squander the only moment we truly possess. Epictetus, the former slave who became a great Stoic teacher, spoke of the dichotomy of control. He taught that some things are within our power, our opinions, impulses, desires, aversions, and some are not, our bodies, possessions, reputation, office. The past and the future, to a large extent, fall into the latter category. We cannot change yesterday, and we cannot guarantee tomorrow. What we can control are our thoughts and actions right now. Think of the young entrepreneur paralyzed by the memory of a failed venture, unable to launch a new idea because the ghost of past losses haunts their every step. Or the student who spends more time dreading an upcoming exam than actually studying, their mind a whirlpool of what-ifs instead of a focused instrument of learning. In both cases, the present moment, the only moment of actionable change, is being sacrificed on the altar of a past that cannot be altered, or a future that cannot be controlled. The Stoic antidote is radical presence. It's not about ignoring the past or failing to plan for the future, but about understanding their proper place. We reflect on the past to extract lessons, to grow wiser, not to wallow in self-pity or endless rumination. We plan for the future by setting intentions and taking responsible actions today, but we release the need to control every single outcome. We acknowledge that the universe has its own course, and our role is to act virtuously within our sphere of influence and accept the rest with equanimity. Practically, this means consciously anchoring yourself in the now. It means truly listening when someone speaks, rather than formulating your next response or replaying a conversation from yesterday. It means savoring a meal, a walk in nature, or a quiet moment of reflection, rather than letting your mind wander endlessly. It means recognizing when your thoughts are pulling you into the vortex of what was, or what will be, and gently but firmly redirecting them back to what is. The quiet choice here is to deliberately choose the present, moment by moment, recognizing it as the only true arena of life. Failure to do so is to live a life perpetually postponed, filled with the regret of never having truly lived the life that was right in front of you. 7. Failing to practice self-acceptance. In a world obsessed with self-improvement, self-optimization, and presenting a flawless facade, the quiet choice to fail at self-acceptance is perhaps one of the most insidious architects of regret. We are constantly bombarded with images of perfection, stories of overnight success, and an endless stream of advice on how to be smarter, richer, thinner, happier. This often leads us into a relentless pursuit of an idealized self, leaving us feeling perpetually inadequate and unworthy of love or happiness until we reach some unattainable benchmark. This isn't about complacency. It's about a fundamental understanding of what it means to be human, True self-acceptance, in the Stoic sense, is not about settling for mediocrity or abandoning the pursuit of virtue. Rather, it is the profound recognition and embrace of our current reality, our strengths, our weaknesses, our past mistakes, our present struggles, and our inherent worth, as the starting point for all growth. It is the understanding that we are, in this moment, enough, precisely as we are, while simultaneously striving to be better. Many of us mistake self-acceptance for arrogance or a lack of ambition. We believe that if we truly accept ourselves, we'll lose the drive to improve. But this is a misunderstanding. Consider the sculptor. They accept the block of marble as it is, with its unique veins, imperfections, and dimensions. They don't wish it were granite or clay. They work with its inherent nature. Only by fully accepting the material can they begin to transform it into art. Similarly, we must accept ourselves as the raw material of our own lives. Modern society often promotes self-esteem, which is largely based on external validation, how we compare to others, our achievements, our appearance, our popularity. When these external factors fluctuate, so does our self-esteem. Self-acceptance, on the other hand, is an internal, unconditional embrace. It's the recognition that our worth is intrinsic, not contingent upon performance or external approval. Seneca, through his letters, often touched on themes that resonate with self-acceptance. He encouraged honest self-assessment, not for self-flagellation, but for understanding. He taught that we must confront our imperfections directly, not to despair over them, but to know where to apply our efforts for improvement. To deny our weaknesses, to pretend we are something we are not, is to live in perpetual delusion, incapable of genuine progress. The quiet regret that arises from a lack of self-acceptance manifests in many ways. It's the missed opportunities because we didn't believe we were good enough. It's the relationships strained by our need for constant external validation. It's the energy wasted on comparing ourselves to others rather than focusing on our own path. It's the constant self-criticism that erodes joy and confidence, leaving us feeling hollow even when we achieve success. Think of the person who tirelessly pursues external accolades, yet feels an emptiness within, always chasing the next achievement, believing that then they will finally be worthy. Or the individual who hides their true self from loved ones, fearing rejection, living a shadow life because they cannot accept their own perceived flaws. These are lives shaped by the quiet, daily choice to reject who they are, rather than embrace it. To practice self-acceptance, according to Stoic principles, involves a form of amor fati applied to oneself. It's not just loving your fate, but loving yourself as fate has made you, with all your unique attributes. It means cultivating self-compassion, treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you would offer a dear friend. It means recognizing that every human being is inherently flawed, and those flaws are part of the shared human experience, not a mark of personal failure. The path to self-acceptance begins with honest self-reflection, understanding our values, and aligning our actions with them, independent of external judgment. It means acknowledging our mistakes, learning from them, and then letting go of the guilt. It means celebrating our small victories and extending grace to ourselves when we stumble. This quiet choice to accept yourself fully, not as a final destination, but as the foundation, is the bedrock upon which a life of authentic purpose and true contentment is built, freeing you from the corrosive regret of having lived a life disguised, always striving for an impossible ideal. 8. overlooking the power of daily gratitude in our consumer-driven, achievement-oriented world. It's easy to overlook the simple, profound power of daily gratitude. We are conditioned to constantly strive for more, to identify happiness with what we lack rather than what we possess. This perpetual state of wanting creates a subtle but pervasive regret. The regret of having lived a life rich in blessings, yet impoverished by a constant hunger for the next thing, never truly appreciating the abundance that was already there. Gratitude, for the Stoics, was not merely a pleasant emotion. It was a fundamental discipline, a philosophical practice designed to recalibrate our perception of reality. It was a conscious choice to focus on what is rather than what isn't, to value what is present rather than lament what is absent. They understood that external circumstances, while they may bring temporary pleasure or pain, do not determine our inner state. Our internal state is largely shaped by how we choose to interpret and appreciate our circumstances. Think of the modern dilemma. We have more conveniences, more information, more opportunities than any generation before us. Yet studies consistently show rising levels of anxiety, depression, and dissatisfaction. Part of this paradox lies in our collective failure to practice gratitude. We become accustomed to our blessings, taking them for granted until they are threatened or gone. The perfectly functioning car, the roof over our heads, the steady stream of clean water, the internet connection, the loving presence of family and friends. These become invisible background elements of our lives, unnoticed until they falter. Seneca masterfully explored this in his writings. He encouraged negative visualization, a practice where you deliberately imagine losing the things you currently possess and cherish, not to invite misfortune, but to vividly appreciate them in the present moment. What would it feel like to lose your sight, to lose your freedom, to lose a loved one? By contemplating these possibilities, the Stoics argued, we are jolted into a deeper appreciation for what we currently have, transforming mundane blessings into extraordinary gifts. Epictetus reminded his students that everything external, even our loved ones, is merely lent to us by the universe. They are not ours to keep forever. This perspective, far from being morbid, is intended to cultivate a sense of profound gratitude for the time we do have with them, and for the simple fact of their presence in our lives. It liberates us from the attachment that leads to suffering and allows us to truly cherish each moment. The quiet regret born from a lack of gratitude is the realization, often too late, that we failed to appreciate the good times, the supportive people, the simple comforts, or the opportunities that were right in front of us. It's the "if only I had savored it more" sentiment, the "why didn't I appreciate them enough" lament. It's the deep sorrow of realizing that a significant portion of our life was spent chasing an elusive future happiness, while the present moment, brimming with reasons for contentment, slipped by unnoticed. Consider the person who constantly complains about their job, their commute, or their meager salary, overlooking the fact that they have a job, reliable transportation, and enough to provide for their needs, while millions struggle with unemployment or poverty. Or the individual who obsesses over their partner's flaws, failing to appreciate their unwavering loyalty, kindness, or shared history, only to realize their true value after the relationship ends. These are stories of quiet regret, woven from threads of unacknowledged blessings. Incorporating daily gratitude is a powerful Stoic practice that requires no external tools, only a shift in focus. It can be as simple as pausing for a minute each morning to list 3 things you are genuinely thankful for, or reflecting on the day's small mercies before sleep. It can involve expressing sincere thanks to others more often. It's about consciously choosing to notice the sun on your face, the taste of your coffee, the sound of laughter, the comfort of your bed. This quiet choice to cultivate gratitude transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary, filling your life with a richness that no material possession can provide. It builds an inner reservoir of contentment that is immune to the whims of fortune. By choosing gratitude, you dismantle the foundations of future regret, ensuring that when you look back, you won't see a life of unnoticed blessings, but a life lived in mindful appreciation, a life truly savored, resisting the natural flow of change. Few things cause as much quiet distress and eventual regret as our innate human resistance to change. We crave stability, predictability, and the comfort of the familiar. Yet, the universe itself is in a constant state of flux. From the turning of the seasons to the inevitable march of technology, from personal relationships evolving to our own bodies aging, change is the only constant. When we resist this fundamental truth, when we cling desperately to what was or what we wish things would remain, we create an internal struggle that is a potent recipe for suffering and future regret. The Stoics were acutely aware of the impermanence of all things. Heraclitus, whose ideas influenced Stoicism, famously stated, "No man ever steps in the same river twice, for it's not the same river, and he's not the same man." This profound observation underpins the Stoic understanding of the world. Everything is flowing, transforming, dissolving, and being reborn. To fight against this natural current is not only futile, but utterly exhausting. In modern life, this resistance manifests in countless ways. It's the professional who refuses to learn new software, fearing obsolescence, only to find themselves left behind. It's the person who holds on to a broken relationship, long past its expiration date, terrified of the unknown future alone. It's the parent who struggles to accept their children growing up and becoming independent, wishing for the days when they were small and dependent. It's the community that resists necessary infrastructure changes, only to face greater problems down the line. This quiet choice to resist change often stems from fear. Fear of loss, fear of the unknown, fear of discomfort, fear of failure. We create elaborate mental models of how things should be, and when reality inevitably deviates, we feel a profound sense of injustice or betrayal. We spend enormous emotional energy trying to force situations back into a familiar mold, rather than adapting to the new shape they are taking. This leads to stagnation, missed opportunities, and the bitter regret of having wasted precious time clinging to a past that can no longer exist. Marcus Aurelius frequently reminded himself of the transient nature of existence. He understood that every person, every situation, every empire would eventually pass away. This perspective wasn't meant to breed cynicism, but to cultivate a profound sense of acceptance and non-attachment. If everything is temporary, why struggle against its inevitable transformation? Why not, instead, embrace the cycle, find beauty in decay, and new beginnings in endings? The Stoic practice here is to develop an attitude of adaptability and acceptance. It's not about passively letting life happen to you, but about understanding what is within your control and what is not. You can control your reaction to change, your interpretation of it, and your efforts to navigate it, but you cannot control the change itself. When a new job opportunity arises that requires new skills, you can choose to resist and complain, or You can choose to see it as an invitation to learn and grow. When a relationship ends, you can choose to lament what was lost, or you can choose to embrace the new chapter, however daunting. The quiet regret of resisting change is the realization that you chose to remain small and stagnant, while the world around you continued to evolve. It's the pang of "I should have tried that," or "I wish I had been more open," or "Why did I waste so much time fighting what was inevitable?" It's the feeling of being left behind, not by others, but by your own unwillingness to move forward. To truly embrace the flow of change requires cultivating intellectual humility, recognizing that our knowledge and understanding are always partial and evolving. It means fostering emotional resilience, knowing that discomfort is a temporary visitor, not a permanent resident. Most importantly, it means developing a deep trust in the universe's processes, understanding that even amidst apparent chaos, there is an underlying order, a natural rhythm to which we can align ourselves. By choosing to lean into change, to approach the unknown with curiosity rather than fear, you unlock new avenues for growth, learning, and self-discovery. You become like the river, constantly flowing, adapting its course, yet always moving forward, rather than the dam that eventually bursts under insurmountable pressure. This quiet choice transforms potential regret into a life lived with dynamic engagement, resilience, and an open heart, ready for whatever the universe brings next. 10. Ignoring the discipline of emotional resilience. We live in an age that often glorifies instant gratification and emotional comfort, frequently mistaking resilience for stoicism in the colloquial sense, a complete absence of emotion. But true Stoic emotional resilience isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about developing the inner fortitude to navigate them wisely, to experience them without being overwhelmed or controlled by them. The quiet choice to ignore this discipline is to set ourselves up for profound regret, a life lived at the mercy of every passing mood, every external stimulus, never truly mastering the inner citadel of our own minds. Modern life is a constant barrage of emotional triggers. News cycles designed to provoke anxiety, social media feeds curated to elicit envy, work environments that breed stress, and personal relationships that can swing from joy to frustration in an instant. Without the discipline of emotional resilience, we become like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by every wave, reactive and vulnerable. We might lash out in anger, crumble under pressure, or withdraw into despair, only to look back with regret at the destructive consequences of our unchecked emotions. The Stoics did not preach emotionlessness. They recognized that emotions are natural human experiences. However, they distinguished between immediate, involuntary impressions, e.g., a sudden startle, and the assent we give to those impressions. It is in this assent, in our judgment about whether an impression is true or beneficial, that our power lies. As Epictetus taught, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This reaction, this assent, is where the discipline of emotional resilience is forged. Consider anger. Many people believe anger is an unavoidable response to provocation. But Seneca, in his treatise on anger, meticulously dissects this emotion, arguing that it is not a rational response and often leads to self-harm and regret. He suggests that anger often arises from an inflated sense of our own importance, or an unrealistic expectation that the world should conform to our desires. By understanding its roots and practicing techniques like delaying our reaction, we can prevent anger from taking hold. Similarly, grief, while a natural and necessary human response to loss, can become a source of regret if it paralyzes us indefinitely or leads us to make destructive choices. The Stoics encouraged us to acknowledge grief, to mourn, but also to remember the transient nature of life and to focus on what is within our control: our memories, our gratitude for the time spent, and our ability to continue living virtuously. The quiet regret born from a lack of emotional resilience is often the shame of reactions we couldn't control. It's the relationships damaged by outbursts of anger, the opportunities missed due to crippling anxiety, the inaction caused by overwhelming sadness, or the foolish decisions made in moments of unchecked desire. It's the realization that we allowed external events and our internal responses to them to dictate the course of our lives, rather than our reasoned judgment and values. Think of the executive who allows stress to consume them, leading to burnout and strained family relationships, only to regret later that they never learned to manage their internal state. Or the young adult who succumbs to peer pressure, driven by a desire for acceptance, making choices that compromise their values, realizing too late the cost of their emotional reactivity. These are lives marked by the quiet tragedy of an unmastered inner world. Developing emotional resilience, stoically speaking, involves several key practices. 1. The dichotomy of control. Constantly reminding ourselves to distinguish between what we can control, our judgments, intentions, actions, and what we cannot. External events, other people's opinions. Directing our energy only to the former. 2. Premeditation of evils, premeditation malorum. Mentally preparing for potential challenges and misfortunes, not to invite them, but to reduce their shock and practice our rational responses beforehand. 3. Reframing. Consciously choosing how we interpret events. A setback can be seen as a failure or as a valuable learning opportunity. 4. Mindfulness and self-awareness. Paying attention to our thoughts and emotions without immediate judgment, observing them like a scientist. This creates a crucial gap between stimulus and response, allowing us to choose a wise reaction. 5. Cultivating virtue, prioritizing wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance as our guiding principles, knowing that acting virtuously is the only true good and brings inner peace regardless of external outcomes. This quiet choice to engage in the discipline of emotional resilience is perhaps one of the most empowering decisions we can make. It builds an inner fortress, an inner citadel, as Marcus Aurelius called it, that protects us not from external hardship, but from the turmoil of our own unexamined reactions. By mastering our emotional landscape, we reclaim our autonomy, ensuring that our life is guided by purpose and reason, rather than being swept away by the unpredictable tides of emotion, freeing us from the deep regret of a life lived in emotional chaos, forgetting the urgency of memento mori, life's precious and fleeting nature. Finally, we arrive at the most profound, yet often most overlooked, of the silent choices. Forgetting the urgency of memento mori, the reminder that our life is precious, finite, and fleeting. This isn't a morbid obsession with death, but rather a powerful, invigorating philosophical tool that clarifies priorities, ignites action, and imbues every moment with profound meaning. The quiet regret of neglecting this truth is perhaps the deepest of all. The realization at life's end that we postponed our living, wasted our time, and failed to truly embrace the one life we were given. In our modern world, We excel at denying death. We sanitize it, push it out of public view, and treat it as an unspeakable taboo. We live as if we have an infinite supply of tomorrows, allowing procrastination, trivial distractions, and fear to dictate our choices. We tell ourselves, we'll pursue our passions someday, mend relationships later, or speak our truth when the time is right. This is the silent choice to live a life of indefinite delay, accumulating a vast reservoir of unfulfilled desires and unspoken words. The Stoics, conversely, embraced memento mori as a daily practice. They understood that reflecting on our mortality is not about dwelling on fear, but about sharpening our focus on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." This wasn't a call to recklessness, but to virtue, to living each day with intentionality, courage, and integrity. Seneca's On the Shortness of Life is perhaps the most eloquent Stoic treatise on this topic. He argues that life isn't inherently short. We make it short by wasting it on trivialities, on endless striving for external goods, on fear, and on procrastination. He admonishes us to grasp the present. While we are postponing, life speeds by. For Seneca, time is our most precious commodity, the only true possession we have, and to squander it is the ultimate folly. Think of the quiet regrets that stem from forgetting this urgency. The dream deferred indefinitely, the kind words left unsaid, the apologies never offered, the adventures never undertaken, the true self never fully expressed. It's the realization that we spent our days chasing external validation, accumulating possessions, or engaging in endless entertainment, only to find that these things do not fill the existential void they promise to. Consider the person who spends their entire life working in a job they despise, telling themselves they'll retire and truly live one day, only for that day to never fully arrive, or to find they no longer have the health or energy to enjoy it. Or the individual who holds onto a grudge for years, refusing to reconcile with a loved one, only for death to intervene, leaving them with an agonizing, irreversible silence. These are the profound regrets of a life lived without the potent clarity that memento mori provides. Embracing memento mori means making conscious, deliberate choices now. It means asking yourself, if this were my last week, my last month, what would I prioritize? What would I stop doing? What relationships would I cherish? What truths would I speak? It means recognizing that every sunrise is a gift, and every moment is an opportunity to live in alignment with your deepest values. This doesn't mean living in constant dread, but living with a heightened sense of presence and purpose. It means letting go of trivial arguments, forgiving readily, pursuing meaningful work, deepening genuine connections, and experiencing the world with open eyes and a grateful heart. It means accepting that change is constant, and our time is limited. So the time to act, to love, to learn, to contribute is always now. The quiet choice to remember your mortality is the choice to truly live. It transforms procrastination into purpose, fear into courage, and complacency into vibrant engagement. It is the ultimate antidote to regret. For a life lived with the conscious awareness of its fleeting nature is a life lived fully, authentically, and without reservation. It ensures that when your final moment arrives, you will look back, not with a landscape of what-ifs, but with the profound satisfaction of having honored the precious, irreplaceable gift of life. The silent choices we make, day in and day out, when no one is watching, are the true architects of our destiny, the quiet sculptors of our future self. Each moment holds the power to shape either a life of profound purpose or a future heavy with regret. The Stoics offer us a map, not to control the external world, but to master our inner landscape, to navigate life's inevitable storms with wisdom and tranquility. They remind us that true freedom comes not from the absence of constraints, but from the mastery of our own mind and the unwavering commitment to live virtuously, here and now. So I ask you, which silent choice will you make today? Will you let resentment fester, or choose the courageous path of letting go? Will you avoid the difficult conversations, or embrace the authenticity of truth? Will you dim your unique light out of fear, or ignite your creativity for the world to see? Will you settle for comfort, or bravely choose the transformative path of growth? Will you neglect your deepest bonds, or invest wholeheartedly in the relationships that nourish your soul? Will you remain trapped in the past or anxious for the future? Or will you anchor yourself firmly in the boundless power of the present? Will you deny yourself the grace of self-acceptance, or embrace your true, imperfect, and worthy self? Will you overlook the quiet blessings, or cultivate the profound richness of daily gratitude? Will you resist the inevitable flow of change, or embrace it as an invitation to adapt and evolve? Will you allow your emotions to dictate your life, or will you cultivate the inner discipline of resilience? And most profoundly, will you forget the fleeting urgency of your own existence, or will you choose, right now, to truly live? The choice, my friend, is always yours. It always has been. If these reflections have resonated with you, if they've offered a moment of clarity or a spark of inspiration, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might benefit, and leave a comment below. What silent choice are you ready to change today? Your thoughts and experiences enrich this community, and I look forward to hearing them.